producers. We are Moi Ko. We're a queer theatre company, and as the governor mentioned, John is one of our members. You know, and we're with John and solidarity with all the Brize Norton Five and the resistance. Let's give a special shout out to our director, Viv, who was instrumental to this company and this piece, but is unable to make it today due to bail conditions after allegedly taking direct action against Shub Elder Systems Insurance Company. We dedicate this to Jonas and to the Brize Norton Five. Okay, now I'm going to do something. We've got a lot of fantastic drums here, right? But actually I'm going to ask for a human drum roll. You know, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to start low, and we're all going to start going.
The Giant and The Sling!
In the early hours of the 20th of June 2025, two people cut through the fence at RAF Brize Norton and used electric scooters to spray paint two Voyager aircraft. The state alleges that the incident represented a threat to national security and caused damage in the millions of pounds. Five were arrested and charged in connection with the action. All five pleaded not guilty. At this point in the genocide, more than 55,000 Palestinians have been killed. Many more were injured, starving, or missing beneath the rubble. Around 2.2 million people have been displaced, often multiple times. Voyager planes are mostly used for point-to-point in-air refueling. Reports reveal that at least one of the Voyager aircraft that was targeted by Palestine action has been involved in military operations in support of Israel. The RAF have also used Voyagers to refuel planes conducting attacks on Yemen and have been seen flying over Syria. Is a base for British spy planes on the island of Cyprus and has conducted over 500 surveillance flights over Gaza since 2023. These planes live stream footage to Israel, with the state today of locating hostages. However, once these images have been shared, the UK has no way of controlling whether they are indeed being used to find hostages or used to commit war crimes or to carry out a genocide. The British state holds video footage from the day that 7 international aid workers were killed by Israel. The footage was taken by an RAF spy plane. The families of those aid workers have been fighting for an investigation into the killings, and release of this footage was one of UMA's hunger strike demands. These calls have been met with silence. On the evening of the 12th of December 2024, Israel bombed the Nusrat refugee camp in central Gaza. More than 30 Palestinians were killed and over 50 wounded. Sources reveal that an RAF spy plane was circling overhead the very night before the bombing. Despite the state calling the action a threat to national security, the Voyager planes were spotted flying again just 11 days after the action took place. The prosecution has revised the cost of repairs from £30 million down to £7 million, a figure that has never been confirmed or substantiated. John, Amu, Louis, Dan and Uma were arrested by counter-terrorism police in June 2025 and were denied outside contacts for 48 hours. They now await trial in 2027 on remand, facing up to 20 months in prison before conviction. They have been charged with criminal damage. and an offence under the National Security Act of 2023, and they're being held under terrorism powers, meaning heightened surveillance and restrictions in prison. The Brize Norton Five are the first people to ever be charged under this offence in the National Security Act. But the law is deliberately vague. It targets anything deemed harmful to the interests of the UK, but never clearly defines what those interests are. So, we have to ask, whose interests are being protected? Is it the interests of us and of international law, or the interests of arms companies, shareholders, and of a genocidal apartheid regime? The state itself says that the threat of terror is, quote, ever evolving, meaning the definition can shift to suit their needs. Back in 2003, activists broke into RAF barefoot to protest the illegal invasion of Iraq. They sabotaged military equipment at the base, damaging vehicles and disabling home support systems. And this was an operation. Of those five, two received £250 fines. Two more were acquitted. And one was cleared of all charges. And technically, they were represented and defended by a young barrister named Keir Starmer. None were charged with terrorism. None were remanded to prison for a trial that took 4 years. In fact, none were imprisoned for more than a week. But under the new act, actions that would once be treated as protest can now be framed as threats to the state, meaning heavier charges, longer detention-free trials, and harsher sentences. So, we must ask ourselves, why is the establishment so ready to lock up and punish these protesters as terrorists? And more importantly, who benefits? On the 13th of February 2026, the UK's High Court ruled that the prescription of Palestine Action as a terrorist organisation was unlawful. Judges found the decision to prescribe the group flawed and in breach of our rights to free expression and assembly. Despite this, the group remains banned, pending appeal. But this is not an isolated case. The label of terrorism has long been used to suppress dissent, but its meaning kept deliberately vague to serve the interests of the state. The so-called war on terror expanded the meaning of terrorism to justify detention, surveillance, and violence. It greenlit torture programs, extrajudicial killings, and unchecked imprisonment of people across the world into sinister US black sites like Guantanamo and Abu Ghraib. From the First Nations of the American continent through to Algeria, Ireland, and Palestine, the colonizers have always drawn a clear line. State violence is called security, whereas resistance is terrorism. That the children of Palestine understand the true meaning of terrorism far better than Shabana Mahmood or Yvette Cooper ever could. They live through the terror of occupation, day in and day out. The Brize Norton Five were denied bail on the 12th of December 2025. Since October 2023, over 74,000 Palestinians have now been killed, over 700 since the so-called ceasefire. The US and its proxies continue to carry out horrific criminal acts of violence across the world with the full cooperation of this British state. We must hold our government to account for this. Free, free! Free, free! Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
So, on behalf of our imprisoned comrades, we ask, support Code Pink in their campaign to close US-UK bases on Cyprus. We must sign their petition to tell the International Criminal Court to investigate UK information sharing with Israel. You should look up Direct Action Training UK and learn the skills to take concrete action. The treaty of the Brize Norton Five revenge